I've been rapping since I was like about 10 years old. You know, I started off with a lot of different names. I had a lot of different names. Even in high school and shit, I used to make CDs in my basement and pass them shits out. And as I was getting more and more serious about it, I started making beats and shit. I started really realizing that I love making music. So then I tried to come up with a name that could show that I'm smart, but I didn't want a name that just showed I'm like a fucking geek or some shit, because I'm not even like that. Like, I'm not, like, I'm all about knowledge and shit, don't get me wrong, but at that time I wasn't all about it. Like, right now I'm more about it than I ever was. I'm sick right now, as you can tell. So well, I was trying to think of a name back then and shit, and I was always out. For some reason, you know, I didn't have no car and shit. I was like motherfucking 15, 16 and shit. I was always out. I had just dropped out of school. It was the best thing that ever happened to me, because now I was free to roam wherever the fuck I wanted to roam and shit, because I didn't want to be home and hear my mom start talking that how come I'm always home and shit. I'm like, I dropped out of school, of course I'm gonna be home. But so that's why I started taking to the streets, as you could say. And that's how I came up with the first part of my name, Street. And at the time, I ain't gonna lie, the biggest crew out was Rockefeller. And to me, everybody in that group had like a two syllable name. I think you could say that. Like Jay, Z, Beanie, Siegel, Memphis, Bleak. So when I had the name Street, I was like, it doesn't sound right to me. So I was on AIM one day with my brother and shit, and I was giving them names and shit. First one I thought of was Unique, but then I thought that sounded really gay, so I wasn't gonna fuck with that. So I had this teacher in high school. He used to call everybody scholars. He was like, oh yeah, like, I don't know why he did it, but he called everybody a scholar. And that didn't really push me toward that name, but it got me thinking about that name. Then I didn't like the way it was spelled, because at that time I wasn't really the brightest fucking nigga around and shit. Like, I understood a lot, but you know what I'm saying, I spell shit my own way, and even to this day I spell my shit my own way. So that's why I took Skolla and I spelled it the way I wanted it to look like, Skolla. So I put that with Street Skolla, and that's how it became my name and shit. And I made my first album like that. Well, you could call it an album. I produced like 19 beats, and I recorded on it, made an album, and it was the dawn of a new era. That was when I just started using the name, and I just started taking rap seriously. That's why I still wasn't on point with my shit. So I made that CD, and I didn't pass it out, because I was getting so serious about my shit. I was like, yo, I do not want motherfuckers to hear me like this. I was like, I need to pick up my shit. Then right after that is when I went on my first trip to Ecuador. Actually my second trip, but the first time I went, I was like a fucking kid. I went 3 times to Ecuador. First time as a fucking baby, I don't even count that shit. Second time is, you know, I got decontaminated from the American way and shit. And the third time was my accident. But the second time I went, my cousin Diego and Paul and shit, like, the way of life was so different. Like, in third world countries, I guess they appreciate a lot more because they don't have that much. But then on the other side of things, it's like really bad over there because they don't have that much. Like, I remember I was over there the first night I landed. I walked into the house. They were like, "Oh yeah, just got off the block, just got stabbed in his fucking chest for his cell phone." Because I don't know, over there, I guess the style was they put their cell phone on a necklace or some shit and they rock it like that. I don't know. And some nigga saw that. He had a knife. He wanted it. So he stabbed the nigga in the chest for the cell phone and shit. And he ain't died, but he stabbed the nigga in the chest. And that's how rough, like, cause my aunt over there, she lives what we call the ghetto. But that's why if you go to my YouTube days, right after I got back, well, not right after, but sometime after I got back from my first trip to Ecuador, I call it my first trip to Ecuador, I made a video called Third World, and I was talking about how the hoods over here in America ain't shit compared to the hoods over there, which I still do think so and shit, but you can't tell a nigga over here that because they don't understand, because you haven't been, like, I think if you haven't been to a third world hood, then you've never been to the hood ever. Shit, like over there, like there's no other way but to kill you to get what you got. I couldn't even let motherfuckers know I was American over there at some points and shit. But my aunt's family was so well respected and shit. My cousins too and shit. That it was cool. But they hate Americans over there. Like, them niggas got money and shit, they gonna get it. But I started showing like my cousin Paul. He's like a gothic nigga and shit. He dresses in all black, and he was more about that shit. Like, he was more political, I guess you could say. So was my cousin Diego. That nigga loved Che Guevara and shit. I didn't know who the nigga was at the time, but yeah. So he started saying to me, oh, like how corrupt my country is, how programmed we are. Like, I started watching the news from over there, and it just looked so different to me. I was like, what? I started like going to the museums over there. I started watching videos and shit. Basically a whole bunch of like revolutionary shit. Which I ended up, because of my cousin Paul, the gothic nigga. He was a nigga that really hated the world. And I started to hate the world like he did, like really bad and shit. Like in my head, I was like, nigga, I'm only, well, at the time I was like, what, 18 I think? Some shit like that, 18, 17. I'm like, y'all only been on this world like 17, 18 years, and this world is fucked up. So whoever's older than me is their fault, because they ain't changed this shit yet. That's the way that I thought. That's why I started really hating people. Like, when I came back and shit, like, all my friends that I had from high school, I deaded them all. I didn't want to speak to nobody and shit. Like, everybody, you ask anybody who know me, you haven't seen me in years, because I never chilled with niggas again. Because I thought they were all, like, diseases and shit. Like, to me, ignorance is a sickness and there's no cure and shit. Like, when a nigga can't see that he's wrong, he's gonna be wrong, and he's gonna surround himself with people that are wrong. And I believe you become the people you surround yourself with. So that's the way I started thinking from over there. And at that time when I found out all this shit, I felt so much positive, and like I was like, damn, like I finally freed myself and shit in a way. Like, I finally was able to think outside the box and shit. Like, that's why I guess I never took into drinking or smoking, because that's what losers do. And I never got into that. Like, I talk about it so I could relate to the losers, but I don't do it because I'm not a loser. Like, I don't need to drug myself up to make myself feel better for the day and shit. And it's to be honest and shit. Like, and people need to hear that. Like, I don't talk down on people. I'm just saying it's the truth and shit. It's drugs that are sold to you, and you use it to make yourself happy. And it shouldn't be like that. But I guess when I get in a position of power, I can say that more. Right now, just whatever. But I started seeing that more. It's like, that's why I really don't remember shit from my past. I kind of like subconsciously blocked out a lot of bullshit. Like, all the chilling, all the senseless chilling I used to do, all the senseless talking I used to do with motherfuckers, all the senseless going over, let's just fucking relax bullshit I used to do. And after that, I don't know, something clicked in my head, and I became really Street Skolla, because my music got 100% better. I didn't even do a song over while I was over there the whole time. I guess since my mind just got focused, and I finally, like, I guess you could say, freed myself, my music just got so much better. I came back, the first record I ever did was Take It Back. You can check out the music video on YouTube, Street Skolla, Take It Back music. That was the first song I ever recorded. Wrote, my bad, I ain't recorded. That was the first song I ever wrote. The first song I ever recorded, like in the studio when I came back, was Old Ass Rappers. Yeah, so, I don't know. I guess when your mind, like, finally gets free and shit, you start thinking so much better. You start thinking so much clearer and shit. You start seeing it is for what it is. And that's how I became Street Skolla and shit. That's why I don't say I am the person who I was before, because that nigga's dead. And I think the accident, it didn't really change me. It just made me give a fuck less and shit. Like, I don't care. Like, if something happens to me, it'll be a fucking favor, because sometimes I don't want to be here. I don't give a fuck, really. And shit. That's probably why I talk about the Illuminati so much. Because, nigga, do me a favor. Take me out of this motherfucker. I don't care. Streetshood.com